Hello everyone. I did a vlog a couple of weeks back about state of Quebec in Canada planning on attacks on unvaxxed residents, and some sanity has now prevailed. I say some because you just never know when these politicians will backtrack again and go back on their word and start implementing crazy regulations and mandates. But it seems for the time being, Quebec has planned to scrap that tax, and that is not out of goodness of their heart. It is purely because of Canadian citizens of that state have pushed back on such regulations. And we need to be extremely aware and careful that we shouldn't allow our rights to be infringed, because once these freedoms and liberties are gone, it's extremely difficult to get them back. Reminds me of that famous quote from Thomas Jefferson, or maybe Ben Franklin. I think it was Thomas Jefferson, where he said something on the lines that tree of liberty has to be replenished time to time from blood of patriots and tyrants. And that's what happens, once things go extreme to the wrong end of that cycle or the seesaw, then there is a fight and a lot of bloodshed, and then you get back your freedoms and liberty, and then cycle repeats. So yeah, we need to be extremely vigilant. But it's good to see that Canadian citizens are fighting back and revolting against their crazy politicians, crazy leaders. It's funny that these crazy leaders, they don't think themselves as the someone who is serving their constituents, but instead the masters of the subjects. But let's go through this article. Plan for the health tax have reportedly been scrapped, according to Francois Legault. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. The premier of French-speaking province, who made the announcement during a news conference earlier on Tuesday. So he made this announcement this Tuesday that they are scrapping the health tax. Even Legault acknowledged that the planned tax had deeply divided Quebecers. Yeah, it doesn't surprise me. I'm sure nobody probably was happy, excluding a few leftist elements. Right now we have to build bridges. So tell me about it. You're not there to build bridges. I think you're just saving your hide. To move Quebec forward in a calm social climate, I am announcing that government will not introduce the bill on health contribution. So when he's admitting that he wants a calm social climate, that means pushback was very loud and noisy. I think it seems majority was pretty unhappy. Those who refuse to receive their first dose in coming weeks will have to pay a new health contribution, Legault said at that time. So a few weeks back, he was pretty adamant that they're going to proceed with this craziness. Last week, Quebec's health ministry required anyone without a vax pass must be accompanied at all times by a store employee and cannot purchase products other than those related to the pharmaceutical service they are receiving. Unbelievable. That is crazy. So what he's trying to say is a guy can come into pharmacy, and if he doesn't have a wax pass, then he will be escorted by a store employee, and he cannot take anything else other than what he has probably prescription for, or if it is just over the counter, then whatever ailment he has, that's the only thing he can purchase. This is crazy. Oh my goodness, this is like I don't think even Hitler probably attempted this. uh, oh man. Of course, public opinion poll has shown that majority of Canadians want all sickness restrictions removed, and this is the key, and this is why he probably had to get take his steps back. um, Good for Canadians. I think this is really good, and happy to see that there is pushback. And on the same theme, the Freedom Convoy, or the Truckers Convoy, has broken through the police blockade, and they are getting closer to US-Canadian border. This is also very good and positive. True North and Rebel News reported farmers joined to strengthen the convoy as restrictions in Coots between the truckers and Mounties collapsed on Tuesday afternoon. So negotiations collapsed between truckers and I think RCMP. The negotiations are over and police are ready to move in. RCMP is opening the highways regardless. Truckers now have a grace period to leave or be arrested. At least that's what they're saying. See, the beauty is one thing we have to realize, and that's where the beauty lies. There are way too many of us. If we are together, these guys will shit in their pants, and proof in the pudding is right here. When there is noise and pushback, they just cover back in their rabbit holes, and we should never forget that. And this is an interesting video. You should see this. So this is the this is the blockade, and he just he's peacefully passing him. Yeah, here's the interesting part. Have fun finding tow trucks. So tow truck companies are also not supporting the RCMP. So they are when they are called, they are not ready to help them. It's really good, actually. Canada is in revolt and president is in hiding. That is so true. Unbelievable. This guy Trudeau is absolutely crazy. Chicken shit. Moving on. Here is another crazy politician or leader. So Ottawa City Councillor demands government seize 7 million raised by Canadian truckers. So this is through public support. They have raised around 10 million now, and this guy is demanding that public money being used for public purpose should be seized by government. I mean, that's called stealing in dictionary language. But apparently that's what our leaders are now. Unfortunately for the truckers and their supporters, the Canadian government hasn't stopped trying to end the protest by any means necessary, including if they must seizing money that was lawfully raised by public setting. Uh, yeah, this guy is crazy. I mean, how can he even think something like that? To wit, Matthew Fleury, the Ottawa City Councillor of Redau Vanier Ward, I'm not sure how it is pronounced, but that's what it is now, announced support Wednesday for the government to launch a legal challenge to seize the remaining GoFundMe donations that had been collected online. So he wants this money to be seized. He made the announcement in a tweet from his public account, which was set to private shortly after, as it was inundated by a wave of supporters voicing their objection. And that's the key. And as I was saying, once you let them know that it's it's not going to help you, Mr. XYZ, in your next election, because ultimately the voting power is with us, they just go back in their rabbit holes. Voice their objection to the later egregious example of government encroachment on liberty. Yeah. But the notion of Canadian government seizing money raised by the public to support people fighting for restoration of their civil liberties almost sounds a little too draconian even for them. Um, I don't think they will try this. I think they are too chicken. And we should just keep pushing. Public should just keep pushing for against any civil liberty encroachments and infringements. Anyway, that's on Canadians revolting against their government, and we should support them. I stand with the public, by the way. Thanks for listening, and I will see you in the next one.